Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. because comics. Welcome to another episode of Because Comics. This is episode 3. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the clandestine Mike Christensen.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna build these into a narrative. Then we're gonna figure out exactly what I am.
There's gonna be a secret code or puzzle in all of the names.
I'm gonna be it's just gonna be like, all right, he's effervescent. He's what was it last time?
Kaleidoscopic.
And now I'm
clandestine.
I'm gonna get a very bizarre reputation.
You're a very well-rounded, very interesting character already,
That's
Mike.
True.
You're very mysterious. Well, once again, here we are Because Comics. As always, we discuss the crazy, zany stories that are out there in comics, and we typically kick off our episodes with the pull list.
Pull list. Again, this is something your comic book store does. Hold on to your books for you. Every week we go into the comic book store, we pick up a few books that are our favorites, and once every episode we're going to talk about something on our list. Jay, what you got for us? What's on your list?
All right, so on my pull list for this week is Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now, this book is...
I should say I've only read the first couple issues, so you're well ahead of where I am.
Yeah, I'm fully caught up at this point, and it is fantastic. So the book is written by Nick Spencer and Steve Lieber. Yeah. And it occasionally, in a few of them, there's like guest writers and artists, but they're like in between episodes. They don't actually try to tackle the full story. They do like kind of little insert fillers of, but really the whole kind of background of this is it's the Superior Foes of Spider-Man. This is kind of going in tandem to the storyline of Superior Spider-Man, where if everyone or should know by now, spoiler alert, Otto Octavius takes over Spider-Man's body and claims to be the Superior Spider-Man.
Ran for about 31 issues.
Yeah. Before he went back to being Peter Parker, also spoiler alert.
I mean, that just happened.
We knew that was going to happen. Just happened. So, but anyways, the whole thing follows these D-list of villains, such as Boomerang, who is literally our anti-hero of the book.
Yeah.
Follows the new Beetle, follows the Shocker. We also follow, if everyone remembers, Shocker is the man who wears a quilt outfit and shoots sound waves, I believe?
Sonic vibrations.
Sonic vibrations.
And dresses like the padding in your walls.
Yeah. And then we have Speed Demon, who's just a fast guy, and that's the extent of his powers.
Fair enough.
And then we also have one last dude, his powers or his name escapes me, but he can turn any vehicle or thing.
Overdrive.
Overdrive, yes.
Oh, I love Overdrive.
He can turn anything into like a vehicle or change the vehicle size. So he can go to a motorcycle and make it a cooler motorcycle or a massive motorcycle or turn into a big wheel, something.
It's like Ghost Rider, but not with fire.
Yeah, Ghost Rider with vehicles, I guess.
With nanites instead of fire.
Yeah, somehow. And so basically, those are our villains. Now, if you are counting, there's only 5 of them, yet they call themselves the Sinister Six. This is a joke that starts off right away and basically outlines these stories. These stories are about D-list villains, these Sinister Six that are actually 5, that are trying to live up to the name of the Sinister Six. Our leader is Boomerang, who is basically trying to prove to everyone that he is the Heisenberg, basically, of the supervillain world. And they literally reference Heisenberg. This book is very
doubt that was very literal.
This book is very open about its pop culture references. It's smart, it's quick, it's fast, and it's very aware that its hero, quote unquote, is an anti-hero, very much like if you enjoyed Scott Pilgrim versus the World, where your lead, when you first meet him, and even throughout most of the film, or even in the books, if you read the books, he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, it's not anti-hero in the traditional, Constantine sort of way.
Yeah, like he feels dark and feels remorse, and he sometimes
just kind
kills
of a
people.
Loser or prick.
Basically, he was a guy who used to be a baseball player.
This is Boomerang?
Yeah, this is Boomerang. And it kind of takes you a little bit through his backstory, how he became Boomerang. It even takes you through the ages of, when he first started out to the different team-ups he was in.
Oh, sure.
And it takes you the whole, it doesn't reboot anything. It literally has the full life of Boomerang existing in these stories. And basically saying that this guy could have been big time, but because he's almost too kind of full of himself that he gets off the track, or he's just too much of an idiot, or too. It's weird.
It feels like what happens with actual criminals.
Oh yeah.
More often than not, is they just never get that big score because they're their own worst enemy.
Oh yeah.
You know, these guys are. I feel like doesn't the first issue open with him getting out of prison or something? Or am I thinking of
well, it talks about him getting out, and
Okay.
he's put, and this is part of the great story as well. He's put with kind of someone, I forget what they're typically, a parole officer,
Sure.
who's there to kind of get him back into civilian life and get him off of being a villain. By the way, his parole officer is Mach 5. Or Mach 4, Mach 5. He was a supervillain, then he turned
from
good.
the Thunderbolts, yeah.
And now he's helping him rehabilitate, and they
course
make
his
fun of
parole
Mach
officer is
5.
a supervillain, of course.
Yeah, for
Why
being
wouldn't he be?
Oh, of course. And the best part is all these stories are basically... Boomerang is a great character. One, because if you kind of like that jerkish, asshole character that's kind of the lead, he's really smart. A lot of his plans are very much almost Joker-esque. Where I say it this way, that it seems like everything's going completely wrong and that he's a complete idiot and all of this is just, they're totally screwed, and yet it was all part of the plan, basically.
It feels very
Boomerang.
Ocean's 11 to me.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love. I always love when that
And by
happens.
the way,
It's great.
Boomerang is constantly duping his own team. But these guys are just a bunch of, losers. They don't have anything else in their life, really. So they keep coming back. They're
they know that he's duping them and they just keep coming
a lot
back
of
for
times,
more.
I think this guy's trying to screw us out of this deal, but what are we going to do? He's our leader.
Oh, Sinister 5.
Oh, Sinister 5, Sinister 6. But the characters are great. They're all different. Boomerang is really entertaining, and their heists are hilarious. One of the heists is to steal Silvermane's head. Now, if anyone knows about Silvermane, Silvermane had like a cyborg body. He was like the head of the
mafia, basically.
The Maggio family?
They call it the
Maggio
Maggio
family? Maggio family, yeah, the mafia family.
Yeah.
And there's fabled that his head, his body was destroyed, but his head still exists out there. And if you can reclaim his head, you can get the power of the Maggio family behind you. So it's this big fabled heist, and there's just all this zany stuff. They find a portrait of Doom without his masks. That's a heist.
Snap.
There's a portrait out there without Doom's mask on, and he was crying apparently when the portrait was painted.
Oh.
There's this great, all this fun stuff behind it. But please check it out if you like humor, if you like just kind of seeing behind the curtain of these D-list villains. It's amazing.
Yeah, feels like a lot of fun from what I read as well.
Oh, yeah. So that is Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Check it out.
For my pull list, we're going to continue the theme of asshole, wrong side of the tracks heroes. We're talking about Rat Queens.
All right.
Now, Jay, you haven't read any of Rat Queens.
I haven't.
I read the first trade, and I am just obsessed with this series now. It's so good. Now, you and I play D&D.
Yeah.
And you play Pathfinder as well.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Pathfinder.
There's a lot of conventions that you'll recognize, because it is a 4-party team. It's the cleric, the thief, the mage, and the fighter.
Okay.
It's sort of the 4-man band that you always
yeah,
see.
yeah.
You certainly don't have to be a fan of D&D or Pathfinder or any gaming,
To enjoy it.
any kind of games to enjoy this series. It's terrific. We just happen to be.
It just gives a little extra flavor.
It's interesting because it's a total subversion of what you'd see, because it's got a very punk rock aesthetic to it and vibe to it. They're all counterculture. The one word I guess it's a hyphenated word, but the term I use to describe this book to people is it's counterculture, because they're very much like punk rock vibe. They're all kind of a form of that. The thief is a hippie kind of character. They describe the fighter as a hipster in the publicity material. I'm not sure if that's quite the right word, but it's closer than anything else.
Okay.
They describe the mage as being kind of like rockabilly, although she's really more of a sociopath. And then the
She's
cleric,
lighting things on fire.
the cleric
randomly?
is an atheist.
That's awesome.
She just doesn't believe. The other interesting thing you notice based on my description of these characters, it's all women.
Oh, it's
it's
great.
4 main characters who are all women, and they're very much the characters that you see in a lot of gaming groups when you get off the rails. They are just all they want to do is drink and fight and get high and have sex, and that's all they want to do. Is
What
just
can I do
that.
in this bar? Well, you can order. I want to order a drink and have sex with the bars.
That's generous. They're gonna do this anywhere they go.
Okay, just do it anyway.
The first issue opens with a town hall meeting complaining about the problem of the Rat Queens.
Of that team.
And then someone gets thrown through the window because apparently there was a bar fight, and we see the aftermath, and there's just like a dude naked tied to a lamppost, and there's just people lying. That's the other thing, the art is amazing. I didn't actually say who's involved in the series. It's written by Kurtis J. Weibe, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Okay.
And art by Roc Upchurch, and it's really well written. It's
By the
really
way,
funny.
awesome name, Roc Upchurch.
It's fantastic.
Mr. Roc Upchurch.
Roc, R-O-C,
Okay.
Upchurch. It's so cool.
Still cool.
But the art is fantastic, and there's such a great sense of design. Everyone feels like they have an identity. All the races, the elf, the dwarf, the version of a halfling, which is their word for it is a smidgen, which I love. I
Really?
think that's fantastic.
The actual race name is Smidgen?
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome.
But the whole thing has like a great sense of like, it feels like a real world. Mm-hmm. It feels like a well-developed, like the armor, it all has like, I don't know about cultural, but definitely feels like there's a lived-in setting. Everything is dirty. Almost everything is bloody. And at one point, it's way, like, I think in issue 3, there's just a scene where they're in, like, the town square, and there's a dog tied to a post. The dog has, like, green horns and a lizard tail. And it's just in the background. No one comments on it.
They're just like, of course this is in this town.
I would read a miniseries all about that. Like, just that dog.
Like, this is just a town where a dog with a lizard tail and horns is totally normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just an average thing.
That's the thing about these kinds of worlds. Mm-hmm. Anything you deal with D&D or Magic the Gathering, anything like that, these are worlds where there's dragons. And they're not
We've talked
questioned.
about it like this. Like, this is just so common. Like, it's just of course there's a monster right next door. Of course.
Of course there's ogres and goblins. Like, that's not even questioned. The question is, what do you do about it? These guys choose to just do everything your characters do when they're off the rails. They just destroy
murder,
everything.
drink, and sex up random dudes on lampposts, apparently.
I don't think that dude was tied up naked because of sex.
Oh, okay.
I think it was just a bar fight. Hey, I don't know.
Who knows?
The thing.
Maybe both.
Last week I talked about Lumberjanes, which also dove right into the action. This one takes a little bit longer to kind of build the characters. It's also been going longer. And the funny thing is, I've described this book as funny and raunchy. It's incredibly violent. And then some of the things you see in there are very graphic. The way I describe it is a bit like Lord of the Rings by way of Game of Thrones, by way of Quentin Tarantino. Like, not quite to that level.
Okay.
But there's some... It looks like when someone gets hit in the face with a maul, that looks like what would happen to that face.
Right.
You can't use it for anything else anymore. That person's dead forever.
That guy's dead.
Well, maybe not forever in these worlds. You never know.
Right, you never know.
The thing is that the characters are really well developed.
Mm-hmm. They all have their own voice.
They have their own identities, and they really are exploring each of them. The one who get the least amount of depth in the first 5 issues in the first trade is the cleric, and that's because Arc 2 is all about her and her thing with her family, because she comes from a very religious family.
Surprise, surprise.
But you get a lot of like the mage, who again should definitely be in jail forever. She's a psychopath.
So like does she done something that like what are some things that she does that is just like ridiculous?
In the middle of a fight, I almost don't want to say this, but I'm going to.
Okay, wait, spoilers. So maybe skip ahead
if you don't want to know more about
the
this.
mage.
Skip ahead about 30 seconds.
Okay.
This is well into like I think it's issue 4 or 5, but in the middle of this epic fight, she takes her wand, presses it against a guy's junk, and casts lightning.
Oh, so sad.
I mean, that kind of tells you what the book is.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's that kind of... It's hyper extreme. It's just up to the max.
I would have loved to have been the artist reading that. Like, okay, and then presses
the
junk?
I really want to know who's responsible for that, because it's fantastic. It's all kinds of things like that. Someone gets... their arm broken, and it's like almost broken clean off, like nearly headless Nick.
Jeez.
And they're like, oh, yeah, that's kind of bad, and they heal it because it's clerics, and you just fix it.
It's magic, that's true. It's never quite made apparent that, like, how that healing works. It's just like, oh, yeah.
It's just
like,
divine, no, you're just better
you're
now.
Fine. No
but
pain, no after pain.
Very shocking. There's also a clear sense that there are rules to this world. Mm-hmm. There's a ninja in one issue, because ninjas make everything better.
Because ninjas are the best.
And he's casting a spell, and then someone hits him with a sword.
Wait, is it magic ninja?
Oh, of course.
Now, I think we're breaking some new ground here. Magic ninjas?
He's casting a spell, and someone stabs him, and the spell dissipates. And you get the sense, it's because he needed concentration. It's a very D&D idea, or Pathfinder. It's not stated by any of the characters.
Right.
But it's there if you know the tropes. And they definitely, you get the sense.
But I also like that they're showing it. They're not telling you that he didn't do it because he wasn't concentrating.
You don't need someone to comment on that. This is the closest I'd compare it to. Is there was an official D&D comic from a few years ago. Mm-hmm. It was written by one of the writers of Leverage, and it was really great because it felt like table talk. Mm-hmm. This is the natural extension of that, where it feels like actual table talk. It's not censored in any way, because clearly it's not a licensed property.
Someone's electrocuting people's junk in this book.
there's some harsh language. There's some harsh violence. I know there's some nudity coming up as well. There's not as much of that in the first 5.
It's slowly dipping you into this.
They eased into the nudity.
Yeah.
But the
Guys,
language...
we can cut people's heads off on lightning junk, but look, if we're going to show some side boob, we really got to get into this pretty deep.
But the language is pretty graphic.
Pretty out there,
It's such a delight. I love the book. Right away. I read the whole trade in one sitting, and I was just obsessed with it. I know we're going over time, but... Guys, Rat Queens, not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart.
But also, I mean, it's a fun introduction to gaming because it is not Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
it's
well, clearly.
not in any way noble or majestic.
It just sounds like a good time.
It's just a good time.
Yeah.
That's, again, I love the books that are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This has been so far. Superior Foes of Spider-Man, fun with D-list villains. Rat Queens, fun with D&D, and just kind of playing that to its
D-list
extreme.
villains in a way.
D-list heroes.
D-list heroes, exactly.
This is not Arthur and his Excalibur and his knights. It's
Not even...
the last people you want to call, I guess.
Oh, by and large.
Wow. All right, man. Well, that was a great pull for the pull list.
You as well, sir.
Well, I guess now we're going to move on to our main event.
X-Men, Days of Future Past. Spoiler alert, everybody dies. In honor of the new X-Men movie, Days of Future Past, we're going to be talking about the original Days of Future Past comic. This came out in 1980 and ran from just issue 141 to 142. That's all it was, an Uncanny X-Men, just 2 issues. Bit of context, Jean Grey very recently died. I think
Is this the first time she died? Or
first or second.
Okay.
But
First or second.
It's the Phoenix arc.
Maybe.
And Cyclops just left the team on a leave of absence because
Is it because
his
Jean?
wife has died. And Kitty Pryde has just joined the team. We introduced to Kitty Pryde when the Phoenix story is happening.
Is this their first appearance?
This is not her first appearance. She's been on the team for like a couple of issues.
Okay.
But this is actually the first time she's in costume. Is in
great.
this issue. Actually, I think that's right because I think she gets her code name. No, I'm sorry, she gets it a few issues earlier.
But still, this is some of the first
Sprite, but this
times
is very
we're
early on.
meeting Kitty Pryde or
The introduction of that character. She's 13 years old. She's the youngest member of any class of Xavier at this point.
Oh, wow.
She's the youngest person who's been at the school.
Cool. They don't have a nursery yet? They don't have that X-Men nursery wing?
No, not so far. But the story actually opens it takes place in 1980. It opens in 2013 in blasted New York City. It's completely ruined, and we're told by the caption just like, welcome to the 21st century.
So we just right off the bat, we're like, dystopian future.
Dystopian future, and a like 40, 50-year-old Kitty Pryde scrambling through the rubble.
Wow.
On her way, she's in like a green jumpsuit, and she's on her way to meet up with Logan. But she falls through a trapdoor, and she's confronted by gangs. Again, this is in the streets of New York. There's a trapdoor in all the rubble, and there's a gang called the Rogues. This isn't a reference to the character, because the character hasn't been introduced yet.
Okay.
I think someone had developed her for an earlier story that hadn't been published for Avengers.
So Rogue isn't even part of this yet.
Rogue hasn't joined, so they're just called the Rogues.
I was going to say, this isn't some weird, like, each X-Men has their own gang.
For a minute, I thought...
The Wolverines versus the
I was like,
Rogues.
oh man, are they named after Rogue? Wait, why are they dressed like Native Americans? I have to Google, does Rogue exist yet?
What's happening?
That's so weird. But they're going to try to attack Kitty. She's wearing an inhibitor collar, so she doesn't have her powers. She manages to be okay in fighting them, but then Logan shows up, and obviously he does better. He also doesn't pop his claws. Because he says, if I pop my claws, the Sentinels are going to know where I am. And that's the thing, is we get the sense that the Sentinels, which we know at this point, we've heard of the Sentinels. They showed up they show up in like X-Men 10, back in the 60s. And maybe they showed up one or two more times, but they're not an ongoing issue. But we've heard of the Sentinels, and they're these robots that hunt mutants. The problem is that there's no real way to control them. They're just, once they're on, they're just looking for mutants.
They're just never stopping, never sleeping.
Full-on hunt mode, exactly. But we get the sense, like, Kitty says she's on official Sentinel business. And the Rogues say, we don't care, we hate them almost as much as we hate muties. Which kind of tells you a lot right away about where we are in the world. Right. She and Logan have a plan. Something's going to happen at midnight that night. And he's back in the city. He's been working with the Canadian Resistance. And we learn that basically
if
tomorrow...
everyone doesn't remember, Wolverine is actually Canadian.
That's true. And we're basically told that tomorrow the nukes are going to fly.
To hit the Sentinels? Or
against... Yeah, it seems that way.
Canada's nukes?
No, the rest of the world.
Oh, okay.
They're going to fly against North America.
Oh.
It's going to be bad.
So the rest of the world is like, yeah,
this is a
we're
problem.
just gonna
Well, basically, if
take
the
all of you
Sentinels
out.
leave, if they're going after the rest of the world.
Oh, so right now they're contained.
They're contained in North America, but they're
So
about
they're going
to
to hit
leave.
them so they don't go anywhere
As soon as
else.
they leave, as soon as they start to move out from North America, the missiles are going to fly, and that's it.
Right.
That's the world.
They're like, yeah, we'll just leave them in North America. Now, if they start to leave, I should probably blow
well,
this
you
guy.
can't help it. The
They can't do
damage is
anything.
done.
Yeah, pretty much.
You can't do anything about that.
Hey, the Rogues gang have got kids and soccer practice, and no,
Nobody
nothing,
cares.
nothing going.
No,
okay,
no, I hope
wow.
not.
You sure
But-
they didn't get a tie-in book? But
Kitty goes back to her camp, and we're basically told there's 3 class systems. There's 3 classes in their class system. Human,
okay.
where you don't express any mutant traits, and you're allowed to breed.
Oh, there's restricted breeding in
Yeah.
this dystopian future.
Exactly.
Wow.
The second class is, and they're letters. So it's H for human,
Okay.
A for anomalous,
Mhm.
which is that you have the potential. You've got the genetic material.
But you haven't
You haven't manifested, no one in your family has manifested, you can't breed.
okay,
there's a
because you
potential
might
for
potentially
mutants.
make mutants.
Exactly. And M for mutant, which is kill it. Kill it now, kill it with fire. And the few that haven't been killed are like stuck in concentration in internment camps, and if they're lucky, like Kitty, they're doing runs for the Sentinels on some sort of mission.
Oh wow.
But the lucky ones are.
So Kitty is supposedly working for the Sentinels.
She is working for the Sentinels.
She's
she comes
working
back,
for the
she
Sentinels,
checks in with the
but
Sentinels.
she's secretly forming a plan.
She's
with
secretly
Logan.
forming this plan.
Okay.
And on her way into the internment camp, she passes a mass graveyard, and everyone's there. You have tombstones for all the Fantastic Four are represented.
Is the things
Ben
enormously large?
No, it's regular size. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of him was left after he fought the Sentinels.
It's just one stone.
Um,
Sad face.
Well, that would be really sad. Xavier's there, Cyclops is there, Nightcrawler's there. Everyone's
Oh.
in a row. The only people left alive right now of the X-Men,
Mm-hmm.
we know Wolverine's out and about, but in the camp is Colossus, who's married to Kitty at this point,
Okay.
which is interesting because they just met.
That's interesting because that becomes canon, their relationship, and
Yeah,
that,
it
that,
grows
that
and
romance grows and develops over years and years of X-Men comics. But that's interesting that was there from the onset,
Right away,
basically.
they knew where they were going with those
That's
two.
cool. I like that.
Storm's alive.
Played by Halle Berry, right?
Exactly.
It's Halle Berry's Storm?
Franklin Richards, who's the Fantastic Four's kid.
Oh, they have the kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had the kids, and one of them's alive and an adult.
Okay.
And Rachel, his telekinetic girlfriend, who I think is Rachel Gray. She's not named. She's red-haired. She later comes in as like a future child of Jean Grey. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's the same character.
Okay.
I just can't speak to that.
Okay.
But it's maybe intended to be the same character later on.
Interesting.
And then Magneto,
Oh, Magneto's
who's rolling around in a wheelchair.
Very ironic.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
rolling
pretty
around
much.
in-
And they're
is
all
it
again
Xavier's wheelchair?
wearing inhibitor colors. I don't know if it's actually Xavier's wheelchair.
He's like, I took this from him the moment they killed him.
I don't know. That'd be amazing.
To remember my friend.
Oh man, good thing I had this year because I
Yeah.
just got crippled.
Oof.
Oh, that'd be messed
Lucked
up.
out.
Colossus is expressing doubts. He's not sure if what they're trying can even be attempted.
Right.
Magneto says, "We got nothing to
And
lose."
we don't know what this is yet?
They haven't told us.
Okay.
They know they're building some sort of jammer, but that's all we know.
Okay.
And Magneto says, "We have nothing to lose. Tomorrow the missiles fly, and the day after tomorrow the world ends." That's
Right.
it. We're out of options. And Colossus takes Kitty aside and he says, "Look, I mean, I'm worried that even if this does work, which who knows if it will, and we're screwing with the fabric of reality. But if it does work, what about our relationship? What about our marriage?" She says, "Look, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and we can grow up in a world where my kids weren't murdered."
Yeah.
Which is something she says.
Wait, she actually says their kids
She
were
says
murdered?
that her kids were killed.
Come on, Colossus, man. You got to go back and save your kids.
Exactly. I mean, it's a fair criticism because what
It is
if
a fair
the
criticism.
love never happens?
That's true.
Which we, you know,
And what if they just get to, like, all be friends and not have death by
what if-
Sentinels?
Exactly.
You
What
know,
if?
those two options. You got to
They-
weigh both.
they build this
Sentinel
device
Holocaust or...
that cancels out the inhibitor collars. And Rachel
Mm-hmm.
lies Kitty down on a mattress. It's very much like what we see in, I think, X-Men in the new movie.
In the
except
trailers.
It's literally just a mattress on a floor in
Okay.
a cell. And she puts her hand on either side of Kitty's head. And everything
Who does
goes
this? It's
Technicolor.
Rachel?
This is Rachel.
Oh, okay.
Everything goes Technicolor and weird. And cut to 1980. Where Kitty has just wandered into the danger room in the middle of a practice. And they have to, like, everyone's like, "Oh, crap. We need to help her not die right now." And then they there's fun. Everyone uses their powers. It's a really fun scene. But then they're like, oh, well, let's actually give her a shot. It's a toned-down system, but let's give it a shot. And it's really cool because she's really afraid. She's not really used her powers strategically yet. And all these things are coming at her, and she just walks across the room with her eyes closed and phases. She phases over things because she can float. It's like an airwalk thing that she can do.
So because when she phases, she has no...
Yeah, she has no weight. So she keeps walking as if she's walking on a even surface. So when the bottom falls out of the floor,
she just walks above
keeps walking. When things slam around her, she keeps walking. She's unfazed.
Now is this Kitty with all her memories from the future?
This is still our Kitty.
But she's still like feeling kind of new in this young body?
Nothing's happened to her yet. This is still 13-year-old Kitty.
So wait,
she does this walkthrough. This is an actual scene from the past.
But I mean, this is before future Kitty comes in.
As soon as she finishes her danger room session, everything goes Technicolor for her.
Oh.
And she blacks out.
Okay.
And the X-Men are like, wait, what? She was doing so well. What happened? Did something hit her that we didn't see? I thought
her walking was
we turned it off. We don't know what happened. So they get her to the med room, and they're like, well, her bio readings read normal, but kind of a little weird. Something's up. And she wakes up. She's like, Nightcrawler, Kurt, you're alive. And she's been super standoffish to Kurt this whole time.
Is it because he looks like a blue demon?
It's interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah.
It is because he looks like a blue demon.
You know what?
Or she doesn't like Germans.
It's a little racist.
Or Catholics? I don't know.
There's 3 things I don't like: blue demons, Germans, and Catholics. And I'm sorry, you got the trifecta.
You're the perfect storm.
You're the perfect storm of what I don't
Unlike
like.
Storm, who I'm fine with.
By the way, I'm racist.
Not against Storm, I guess.
Kitty pride.
Racist. No, obviously that's not it. No, obviously she's always just been a little weird around Kurt. They bring it up earlier in the issue. She's like, he's the one who's like, it's okay, Kitty. It's okay that you wandered in the danger room. And she's like, thanks, Kurt.
You have 3 fingers.
He's like, what am I doing wrong? And like Wolverine's like, she's got a lot to absorb, kid.
You know, that I think that even that hesitancy translated to, like, outside of just the comics, to a lot of things with X-Men, with, like, the TV show and stuff.
I think they did it in X-Men Evolution as well. She had a hard time adjusting to Nightcrawler.
Well, let's be honest. Nightcrawler would be a little bit...
He's a departure from the rest of the X-Men.
Yeah, a little bit.
In a lot of ways.
Even Angel, who has giant wings,
or
is still, like, a very handsome dude who also happens to have
He's literally the opposite of Angel. He looks like a demon.
That's very true.
Or Colossus, who just looks like he's been chiseled out of...
Yeah.
Or, like, forged out of metal.
And even so, he can still take that off. He changes back.
To a handsome,
be like, oh yeah, I should probably not be blue all the time.
17-year-old Russian dude. Like, it's fine. To a handsome farm boy.
It would be really funny if Kurt could turn back into a normal person, but it was only looking just like Colossus, like a completely different physique. It's just like, why shouldn't I be like this all the time?
That would be amazing.
This is awesome.
But she wakes up and she explains to them what's going on, and everyone says, well, clearly this isn't true.
Right.
And she says, look, here's the thing.
Look, I know 2 things in life. That's a blue demon, this is a danger room, and time travel cannot exist.
She says,
I said 2 things, but... Yeah.
I know. She says, this is going to be the hardest part, is making you guys believe me. But the Brotherhood of Mutants is about to assassinate Senator Kelly. And they're going to kill Charles Xavier as well. He's with him. And Moira McTaggart, who's a scientist who works with Charles. She was in X-Men First Class, but she was a CIA agent.
Yeah, she was a different role in that film.
As opposed to a scientist. They're all gonna die. It's gonna cause these Sentinels to take over the country, and I know you don't believe me, but you can't afford to risk the chance that I might be right. And Storm, who's the leader, this is her first real mission, says, "You're right. I don't know that I believe you, but I can't take the chance."
Yeah.
And Wolverine's like sizing her up, and he's like, "Look, she looks like a kid, but the way she talks, the way she acts, the way she moves, and apparently the way she smells." For some reason,
that nose, man, it's his like, real mutant power.
Reads like a grown woman, does not read like a 13-year-old kid. So he knows something's up. He thinks she's telling the truth, and they take the jet. And she fills them in on what happens. She tells them the Sentinels are set up. But basically what happens is when Senator Kelly, who is a good man who has some legitimate concerns about mutants. This is what
what's
she
going on with
says.
Senator Kelly right now? He's like, for mutants against mutants?
We're told by Kitty that Senator Kelly has problems with mutants because there's a lot of superpowered people out there, and that's a legitimate concern.
Pretty legitimate.
They're killed in an attempt for Magneto to show, like, or at least for the Brotherhood. I don't think it's Magneto at this point. For the Brotherhood to show, respect us. Respect mutants.
Senator is going to be killed or is killed?
He's going to be killed.
He's going to be killed.
This is Kitty telling us what's happened. For her, he was killed by the Brotherhood to sort of show superiority.
We
backfires.
We are better than you humans.
Show respect. Don't mess with us. It backfires, and anti-mutant sentiment goes well out of control.
What a surprise.
I know. In 1984, a president is elected on an anti-mutant campaign. And we actually see his tagline, which is amazing. His poster is, it's 1984. Do you know what your child is?
Wow.
Which is a play on this. Is an old campaign from back in the day, from around this time in the 70s or 80s, was, do you know where your child is? It's 12 a.m.
Yeah, do you know where your child is? I remember that, yeah.
This is, do you know what he is?
What your child is?
And
God.
They set up the new Sentinel program, or they set up a registration act, basically.
Okay.
And the Supreme Court shuts it down. That's the funny thing. We get that much detail in
Checks
the
and
story.
balances, man.
That's the thing, is they actually take the pains to show, like, no, this wouldn't happen overnight. It couldn't happen overnight. It's
got to be a lot of things.
There would be a lot that happened that had to fail. The system had to fail in a number of ways. And there's a system in place to make sure that you can't register the mutants. The Supreme Court shuts it down for being unconstitutional. But they activate the Sentinel program, and of course the Sentinels are like, well, yeah, there's a way to manage the mutants. Run the country.
Murder.
Just everything.
Yeah.
And there's no putting that genie back in the bottle.
Nope.
And then Kitty has this moment. It's only one panel. That's the funny thing about the pacing in these old stories. It's everything happens a lot more compartmentalized. It's more efficient. There's one panel where she says, I didn't think seeing you people alive would hurt so much.
Oh.
And then she breaks down crying. And they're just like stunned.
That's
and
touching.
It's really sweet because this would be very harrowing for her.
Yeah.
It really hurts to see them alive. Because you think like, hey, I'm good to see them. Yay, my friends.
And it's almost like...
I watched you all die.
And I feel like it's almost like...
think about but that.
It almost pulls on her a little bit, even more so because she is here for one thing.
Yeah.
She's come back for a very specific mission. She's got to do it. She's got to move quickly. And yet she just wants... maybe I don't know this. Maybe it happens in the comic. But she wants to like take a minute to maybe be like, I haven't seen you in so long.
All
Let's
she
get
would
lunch.
want to do. Of course. But she doesn't... She's a strong woman at this point. She's stern. She knows what's up.
Yeah.
She can't afford to.
That's
so they
rough.
go to Washington because there are some Senate hearings happening right now. That's why Xavier is with Kelly. It's because they're basically doing what we've seen in the opening of X-Men in the first movie.
Which
is talking about mutants.
Just
and
smooth it
saying, hey, I think we should register them all. Counterpoint?
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah?
What do you think, bald, wise man in a wheelchair?
Exactly. And it's kind of clear, almost right away, that Kelly's kind of already made up his mind.
Right.
And Xavier says, like, we got to change his mind and we got to do it right. We got to do right by our mutants because there's, everything's at stake. And then the Brotherhood attacks. And that's where the issue ends, but we do see that the X-Men in 2013 are making their escape. Magneto had to stay behind because his wheelchair would have slowed them down. But the rest of them, they've gotten rid of their collars.
Oh, so they're paralleling what's happening in the
parallel
future.
Stories. We're seeing Colossus. He's carrying Kitty's body. She's asleep, but in her body apparently is the 13-year-old Kitty. There's a switch going on there. And then the Sentinels show up, and they kill Franklin Richards. They kill him, and the X-Men have to fight them off.
Wow.
And so we have these two
So
parallel...
the last of the Fantastic Four is dead.
Yeah, we have these two
sad.
parallel fights going on because right as the...
Is this all in one issue?
So that's one issue.
Wow, you're
Because
right. They do really
Senate,
take advantage of that
They really...
space.
It's longer. It was maybe 30 pages as well. So it's a little bit longer as well, but that's with ads.
I mean, that's still impressive.
It's still...
And by the way, you said this. You said 2013. I don't think you had said this yet. Does the future dystopian future of Sentinels literally take place like in now time, like 2014?
It takes place in 2013. Yeah.
Oh wow! Right around the time
the movie came out. It's only off by a year.
Wow.
And so as soon as the Brotherhood attacks the Senate, the X-Men show up because they knew that was going to happen.
Right.
They drop in. So the next issue is called Mind Out of Time, and on the cover it says, "This issue, everybody dies."
Wow.
And it's got a Sentinel just blasting the flesh off of Wolverine. So, they're going for it.
Yeah, they are, clearly. And, I mean, very visually, if you're blowing up the guy who's known for never dying, I mean, that's pretty...
I don't even know if they'd set it up quite to that degree at this point, but he certainly is the badass of the team at this point,
yeah.
no doubt. So we see this fight going on in the Senate building. This is Storm's first mission as the leader. I mean, she's had other things happen that she's kind of led the team in, but this is the first one where she's leading them all, and feels like she's screwing up, which is weird because she's actually making some smart choices. Like, Wolverine is about to murder Pyro on television in the middle of a conference about whether or not they should register mutants because they're dangerous. And she's like, no, maybe let's not do that.
Let's not do this, guys.
Maybe that would set mutant-human relations back a few years.
Probably just a tad.
It would not be a good step. Mystique manages to get Xavier and Moira off the board. She knocks them out. That's intercut. This is intercut with 2013, where they're fighting the Sentinels. And they decide to go take the fight straight to the Sentinels, the future X-Men. And they're in the Baxter Building, which we know is the Fantastic Four headquarters. And they sneak in, and there's an Omega-level Sentinel that's like running a command center or whatever. And Wolverine's going to go attack him at a split second too slow, because the Sentinel turns around and vaporizes him.
Wow.
Just
insta-dead.
Incinerates him.
Like, delete button, boop, gone.
Control Z, he's gone.
Wow.
And that's it. And not everyone's in the mission either. It's just Storm, Colossus, and Wolverine. Rachel's taking care of Kitty downstairs. So now it's just Colossus and Storm. And they're fighting, and at one point, Storm gets stabbed and murdered.
Wow.
And she's dead. And Cyclops goes into a fury. He's just goes into what they basically describe as a Wolverine-esque berserker rage. And we cut to Rachel downstairs. Again, Rachel, remember, is a telepath. And she says, I want to break the connection. Because I don't want to hear him die. But I don't want him to be alone. I want his mind. I want to be linked with his mind when he's dead.
And he dies.
No, she says, when he's dead.
Oh, like just midway through.
So quickly is the next line. He's dead so quickly. And
by the way, these short little brief, like, kind of emotional moments are really quite touching for this.
And they're powerful because they stand out in this, very fast-paced story.
Well done, Clarence.
Well, good job. Good job, Chris Claremont.
Claremont. Yeah. Sorry, Chris Claremont.
And John Byrne, who knocks it out of the park with this series.
Clearly.
All throughout. But in 1980, Kitty is the only one, Kate Pryde, in the body of young Kitty Pryde, is the only one left alone with the Senator, who's fighting off with, not fighting off, he's facing off against Destiny, who's the clairvoyant on the Brotherhood. And she's been, every step ahead of the X-Men, but she's not every step ahead of Kitty.
Because
she can't see Kitty. She can't detect Kitty.
Oh.
Because of the whole time displacement
thing. Yeah, the whole weirdness.
So Kitty, phases through Destiny to, get her aim off and knock her out, and they save the day. And then that's the moment where they switch back. Kate and Kitty switch back. Kitty, by the way, no memory of this. She was not awake. Any of this stuff. She doesn't know any of what happened. And of course, Chris, Xavier's like, well, Senator, I hope this taught you that not everyone, you can't paint us all with the same brush. Not us, of course. I'm not a mutant. I'm just an expert in mutation. Yeah. But, mutants, those guys.
Those people.
Thanks, Mr. X-Men. I don't know any of you by name. Goodbye.
See you back at the match.
We'll get your flight later, because they're definitely fun.
Isn't your last name Xavier? They're all called the X-Men. Oh, sorry. Oh, they're gone. Oh,
they're all gone. And actually, Warren Angel does have a public identity at this point. Oh, but the rest of them are not known publicly.
Oh, they are still, very secret identity.
And then they fly home, and Xavier had scanned Kitty's mind when she was Kate Pryde. So Kitty asks, what can you tell me? She says that you were as delightful and admirable a person as Kitty Pryde, and that's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you any more, Kitty.
That is it.
Figure out the rest. And then they all wonder, did it work? Did we actually prevent the future?
And are we left as the audience
or did we postpone the future? We get an epilogue where Senator Kelly and his friend Sebastian Shaw, who we know is a mutant and we know is a supervillain, are called to meet with the president, who says, well, yes, I've read over your reports, and I agree, mutant situation is something we need to deal with. So I'm appointing this man, Henry Gyrich, to lead Project Wide Awake. We're going to deal with this mutant situation. Gyrich, your first task, you're going to reactivate the Sentinel program, and we'll get this going.
Oh, God.
And that's how it ends.
You guys did it, maybe.
Or maybe self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the interesting thing.
I like it.
So that's Days of Future Past. That's the original. Now, I know that there's not as much Peter Dinklage in that story as there is in the film, which I think is everyone's loss.
Yeah, really.
And all of our gain for the new film.
All of our gain for now.
Because Peter Dinklage is fantastic.
It's just the best. Can't wait. All right, man. Well, that was an awesome main event. Thank you, sir.
Of course.
Very timey-wimey, twisty, fun times.
Wibbly-wobbly.
Wibbly-wobbly. All right, so now we're going to move into our last segment here, another game. You guys have heard this before, hopefully. If not, our segment is called Super Mundane, so let's kick it off.
That's right. Every other episode, we alternate games. Last week we did Who Am I, which is 20 questions asked. And this time we're doing Super Mundane, where, in this case, Jay's going to ask me which hero... We decided hero, right? We're not doing villains as well?
I guess just heroes.
Just heroes. which superhero would be the best at a mundane task.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I think we did directing a high school musical or an elementary school musical last time around. And this time you're going to pose another question to me. Super mundane. What's
Super
the task?
mundane. The task is, who would be the best man?
Ooh, that's good. That's a good one.
So as Mike ponders this, we're setting ourselves up here at a nice wedding. You know, everybody's coming in, filtering in. We're not really sure who's getting married.
Let's say it's me.
It's Mike is getting married.
It's me.
Your
I'm the
wedding.
groom.
Fantastic. Who would you want there as
No, who would be the best?
Who would be the best?
Now, here's the thing. Superman. You know he's going to give a fantastic toast.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to do anything too embarrassing. It's all going to be family friendly. It'll be funny, though.
He'll put in like one or two quips.
Yeah, nothing mean-spirited towards the bride in any way.
Right.
Nothing that's going to turn anyone off of, our friendship. It's all going to be terrific.
Yeah.
The bachelor party. I mean...
That's where he's going to really kind of lack. He's going to kind of drop the ball.
It's not his forte. That's not something that he does. Now, it depends. Now, for me... He's totally my man for the bachelor party because I'm not like all I want.
Your
is just,
bachelor party is him just taking you flying.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be fantastic. No, just like
please.
Oh my
take
gosh,
me flying
yes.
one time.
Like I just went to a friend's bachelor party this Christmas, and it was like it was dinner and Penn and Teller, and then we just met up.
Vegasing it up.
That was it. Yeah, that was just the whole thing.
A very, very pretty mild Vegas.
Pretty low-key, and then we went to the Pinball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Which was amazing.
Classic bachelor's night out pinball.
Not every bachelor party has to be The Hangover.
Oh, it doesn't.
That's the funny
thing.
thing.
I'm not saying it should.
I actually think Superman would give a fantastic bachelor party.
He probably would.
Because that dude is going to take you to Atlantis. So.
You know what? He might take you to the tiny city of, what's that called again?
Candor.
The
bottle city of Candor.
Throw a big party in Candor. Candor parties are off the chain.
There's a chance that Metallo's going to attack.
Ah, that's true.
But here's the thing. Superman, when he's having those kind of adventures, he's not Peter Parker. It all works out.
He's
going to make it happen.
Man.
It's just going to be a good story. It's sort of like in All-Star Superman when he's giving Lois her birthday and they're flying around. Of course, lizard men attack. And of course, maybe the Sphinx shows up and that's a big deal. For the most part, though, it's going to be a fine birthday.
Yeah.
Yes, my life will be in danger at some point.
True.
Let's assume, actually, yeah, in this case, it'd be like Jimmy Olsen's bachelor party.
Okay.
That's fine. Or mine. It doesn't matter.
Your bachelor party.
He's going to show us the sights. He's going to show us the best the DC Universe has to offer.
Oh, yeah.
In that night.
It's like it's Superman's own whole new world. But
yes, it very much is.
Whole new...
A magic candor. Take you to the Phantom Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
this is fantastic.
Don't go to the Phantom
Zone. But by the way, I'm loving this. Go to Themyscira.
Oh, yeah.
Go hang out in the Batcave for 5 minutes
hang out
before
with the Justice
Batman
League, get
kicks
drinks.
you out. And Superman can make it happen. He's like kind of the figurehead of the Justice League. I mean, if Superman
He'd be like,
calls...
look, guys, it's all good. I'll do that whole memory wiping thing that we all pretend that I can do.
Is he going to memory kiss you?
Yeah. He'll memory kiss me, so
right.
I don't remember. No,
this is definitely part of your bachelor party. It ends with Superman giving me that memory kiss. This is, I got to say, it's Superman.
I feel like Superman's the best choice. I feel like I was going to rule him out. He's the best answer.
The more we've kind of tried to rule him out, the more it's like, yeah, Superman would be
He'd be fantastic. He'd be a fun time. Now, if you were going to go debauchery, because we kind of got to give some other options.
Let's give that flip coin, sure.
John Constantine.
That's true. He would be the opposite whole new world. He'd be like, this is the worst supernatural hellscape for you.
Look, man, you don't ever have to deal with this. Just get married and live your normal life.
But of course, all of this in a British accent.
Hey, here's all these strippers. They're demons. They're trying to eat you.
They're demon strippers.
You're welcome. I saved your life. Want some cigarettes?
Meanwhile, he almost gets you killed 15 times.
Doesn't care about your life.
Doesn't care about
at
your
all.
life.
One of the groomsmen doesn't make it home.
He gets
Let's
you
just
addicted.
Put that right out there.
He gets you addicted to smoking. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
You
wake up at like 12:30 the next day, and you've got just like shame glaze covering your body.
But even so, he's gonna still send you into that wedding, just like, honey, I don't ever want to see these people again.
I never want to be apart from you again.
Never want to be apart from you. This is the worst night of my life.
All I want to do is not be single again. There's people like that are out there. He's the counterpoint.
Yeah, that was perfect. I think that's the perfect one side, other side. We've got Superman, best man, also works well with being called Superman.
Because here's the other thing. Constantine's, I think we can rule him as the worst best man because his speech would be all the cliches. He'd be drunk. We know that
It would
right
be.
away.
And by the way, since a lot of the stuff he does is very magic-y, he's saying spells, he might be drunk and say something and rip open a portal to who knows where.
Right, but he's not even like a fun like show magician. He can't be like, ta-da! He's just like, oops, hell.
And the bride, I've got you. Oh crap, those are venomous snakes from hell.
No, I'm sorry. Not the bouquet. Your bride. Your bride is venomous snakes.
Your bride is
from hell.
venomous snakes. I'm so sorry,
I'm sorry
Mike.
about that.
This was really my... I've got to go.
I'm sorry.
That was my half-second.
I'm not
attempt at
really
British.
sorry. I don't care.
Not really sorry.
I'm surprised that Superman ended up being such a clincher on this
Dude,
one.
I love the whole new world with Superman.
That'd be
It would
fantastic.
be the best.
Although-
And come on, if you really, honestly, we all would want to go on a fly with Superman.
Of course.
Whether you romantically or not, that would be just the best.
Can you read my mind?
Can you read?
Can you see what's inside? I would have to learn. Of course,
You have to learn all those lines.
Despite my issues with that film, I would learn the entire speech.
And you would just be like, Mike, you're like, you promised you'd do this. It's like, fine.
Marco, kidding me?
Marco, kidding me, damn it.
All right.
Well, that
Canonical answer.
Canonical
We've
answer.
got two DC answers on this
two
one.
answers. Yeah, Martian Manhunter is the best at directing an elementary musical. It was a musical. And now we've got Canon Superman is the best man, John Constantine. Right?
It's officially supposed to be John Constantine. I've been
John
pronouncing it that way.
Constantine, not Constantine.
Apparently rhymes with Valentine. Not,
Right.
Yeah.
And he is the worst.
Yeah, I think we can. That'd be an interesting thing to do with these as well. Start examining who would be the absolute worst pick.
We might kick it off that way.
Yeah,
I like it.
interesting.
All right. Evolving and changing. All right. Well, that was episode 3 of
This
Because
show
Comics.
Show's an organism.
It's growing. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at because_comics. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at supergeekmike.com. Thanks for listening, and remember,
Life finds a way.
Da-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na, Jeff Goldblum. Let's go.
I love
We gotta
this.
stop ending most of these with
Stop
singing.
singing with these.
Because comics.